Hello, grade 6 students, and welcome to a new lesson in social studies. So today we're going to start a new unit and a new lesson. We're going to tackle the ancient Greeks, and the big idea for this unit is the ancient Greeks made many contributions in areas of government and leadership. So today we're going to start with the lesson 1, mountains and seas. So let's start. So the objectives for this lesson are to describe the geography of Greece and also to analyze how the ancient Greeks adapt to the land and the sea. So now we're going to discover the land of Greece and the location of it. So the present-day Greece is located in southeastern Europe on the Balkan Peninsula, and you already know what a peninsula is, a patch of land that is almost completely surrounded by water. Greece's southernmost tip reaches into the Mediterranean Sea, and to the west lie the Ionian Sea and the Italian Peninsula, while the east is the Aegean Sea. The Balkan Peninsula curves south and east toward a part of Asia that's called Asia Minor, or the meaning of it, which is Little Asia. And today Asia Minor is a part of the country of Turkey. The Ionian and the Aegean Sea almost separate the southern part of Greece from the rest of the mainland. Only a small strip of land called an isthmus connects them, and the southern part of Greece is called Peloponnesus. So mountains cover nearly 3/4 of mainland Greece. The heavily forested Pindus Mountains run north and south through the center of Greece. Between the mountains lie narrow valleys and small plains. Because the region is so mountainous, much of the soil is thin and rocky. The jagged coastline of Greece is cut by main inlets and is surrounded by as many as 2,000 islands. These islands are also part of present-day Greece. The largest of the islands is Crete, and it's located southeast of the Peloponnesus in the Mediterranean. And the early people of Greece also settled on these small islands as long as the coasts of the northern Africa, Asia Minor, and what are now parts of Spain and Italy. So now, based on the first part that we've discussed, I want you to read the following question, try to answer it alone, and if you don't know, I'm gonna give you the answer. And please make sure to copy all the questions and their answers in your SST notebook. So the first one is, how is the southern Greece connected to the northern part? Well, it's connected by a small strip of land that's called isthmus. Now the second question on the same part that we've discussed is what causes much of the soil on mainland Greece to be thin and rocky? Well, of course, the mountains. So now we're going to discuss how did the ancient Greeks adapt to the rocky environment. So the ancient Greeks settled in the narrow valleys among the mountains, and as a result, the mountains separated the settlements and each community developed on its own. For many centuries, the mountains kept the people of Greece from uniting under one government. The rugged mountains made inland travel and trade difficult. To travel by land from one community to another, people had to hike through the mountains on dirt paths. The rivers of Greece were of no use for travel because they often dried up, and the mountainous land also affected agriculture because only 20% of the land is good for agriculture. So Greek soil, as we discussed previously, is poor and rocky, and also the climate there was dry. There is a little of land available for farming and raising animals such as cattle and horses. So the ancient Greeks found ways to adapt to their rocky environment. They raised animals such as sheep and goats, which are fairly small and do not need large areas for grazing. And from sheep and goats, the Greeks obtained wool, hides, and cheese. The early farmers made the most of the region's dry climate and poor soil by planting crops well suited to the area such as barley, wheat, olives, and grapes. They grounded the barley and the wheat into flour for baking breads and cakes, which they sweetened them using honey. They ate olives and crushed them to make olive oil for cooking, for lamp fuel, and using for bathing as well as for perfume. So here is another question based on the second part that we've discussed, which is about how did the ancient Greeks adapt to their environment or the land there. So how did the mountains affect inland travel and trade in ancient Greece? I want you to pause the video and try to answer it by your own, and if you don't know, I'm gonna give the answer. So they made them difficult because they couldn't either travel or trade because of the mountains and also because of some of the seas were dried out. So, life by the sea. The seas surrounding Greece provided an abundance of fish and easier way to travel than hiking across mountains. For these reasons, the ancient Greeks started most of their settlements near the coast. The Greeks developed into seafaring culture of fishing sailors and traders. Greece has many fine natural harbors or sheltered places with deep water close to shore. The ancient Greeks sailed close to the shoreline from one harbor to another. Through sea travel, people in coastal settlements had contact with one another, and over time some people migrated from one coastal village to another, and others moved to the mainland to surrounding islands. In the process, the early Greeks exchanged ideas and also religious beliefs. The early fishers knew well the sea's fearful power. Sailing was dangerous, especially in winter when the winds were strong and the waves rough. Despite the dangers of the sea, the Greeks depended on it for food and transportation, and sea travel also connected the Greeks with other cultures around the Mediterranean, resulting in an exchange of ideas and goods and great distances. So now, based on the previous one that we've discussed, here is another question. So why did the ancient Greeks start most of their settlements near the coasts? Well, the seas provided food and a good way to travel. So this was all for today. Thank you so much for listening.